Well, here we are for a brand new gardening year. Days are getting longer. The days are 9 minutes longer today than it was on the December 22nd.
Yeah,
so
isn't that
9 minutes already.
It's like it's a different world.
Yeah,
already.
it is.
So you can tell as these days get longer that you just feel better.
Oh, you do.
Start
And
feeling
the
better.
plants start jumping. And
Yeah, plants can tell, that's for sure. So, yeah.
Happy New Year to all our listeners, and may 2026 be the best gardening year yet. And we really sincerely mean that on the Garden Show here. We love the fact that you enjoy the show, and we look forward to your calls because that's really what makes the show fly. Tips and plants of the week. My tip of the week, although it's been said, resolutions are rarely kept. I love posting some gardening resolutions on this first show of the year every year. So stay tuned for the list during the show. My plant of the week is the Begonia Rex. The beauties I purchased last year at the greenery, Ken, are still looking good in the greenhouse.
Fabulous.
It's a challenge for me because Dan Bruce said he can't keep one alive. So
they can be challenging.
Yeah, well, you know what? Too much water.
Yeah, well, you have to be. It's a real fine.
It's a fine line, isn't it?
Yeah. We'll talk more about
let's
begonias.
do that. Begonias, okay.
Great topic.
That's my tip and plant.
All right, I also have a tip and a plant, and my tip of the week this week is to hold off on fertilization of plants right now, your house plants, that is, particularly. Is that right at this time of year, days are really, really short. The temperatures in the house are kind of on the cool side. And the plants, they don't really need very much. So let's just keep them a little on the dry side, a little less fertilization, just actually literally zero fertilization until we get around the end of February. And then at that point, what I'd be doing is adding in some water-soluble fertilizer at a rate of about a teaspoon per gallon of any water-soluble fertilizer, 20, whatever it is you like personally, and just start watering with that right through the month of April, and so that you're always giving them a very mild feeding, and then when you get to April, you can go back to full strength. All right, now my plant of the week this week is a Taylor upright juniper, and Taylor junipers are great because they're tall and skinny. They're just like a pencil shape. They're completely deer resistant, drought tolerant, and just easy to grow. Sometimes a little hard to find, but we do surprisingly find them quite often now, and so they, I guess, are getting more popular. But anyway, it's great to have a hedge that you can put in that you don't have to water very much and the deer don't eat. Just kind of a helpful thing. A little more expensive than, say, a cedar, for example, but it's often worth it. It's like everything, you get what you pay for. All right, that's my tips and plans for this week. Remember to check growercoach.com and Grower Coach on YouTube.
Ken, the last thing I want to do is correct you, okay?
Yeah.
I would never do that, but I have to right now. Not correct you, just add to this.
Yeah.
When you said they don't need much water, at the beginning they do.
Yeah, all plants.
All plants do.
Yeah.
And I just don't want people to think, oh, wow.
They're
because this is what people think. They go into the garden center and they say, this is a drought-tolerant plant. They plunk it in the ground and leave it.
That's the whole thing with drought-tolerant plants, and we can always talk more about that. But when you purchase a plant, it's not drought-tolerant until it's established. And that establishment period equates to the smaller the plant is, the quicker it establishes. So if you want to get something, that you don't have to baby much, well, buy a little one and water it a lot at first, and then you just walk away and you're on your own, little buddy, and the thing survives and grows on. It's just if you buy a big plant, it's going to need babying the whole year long. So, it's one of these things.
And I know you're of the same ilk that I am. The fact, you get the right plant for the right place, choose your plant for the future so that you know that when it gets big, it's not going to be a burden.
Yes, yeah.
And don't get greedy and want something huge to start with.
Yeah.
I've seen people buy big, huge caliper trees, and they sit and they sit and they sit.
Oh, they'll sit for years.
Without moving, without really putting on any growth. They're living on their own resources by just pushing out a little bit every year, You plant a small tree, and that small tree in 5 years has caught up to the big tree, and it's a healthier plant, and it's just way better.
Yep, exactly. And it's just easier on the individual. And if you want to even go to one stage even easier, is that if you are, say you have a tough place, it's really difficult to get water. You might have an area where you just don't have any hoses or anything, and you got to pack the water over to it. So then you want to pick the drought-tolerant species, pick a small plant to start with, and then if you can, plant it in the fall. Because then, you just water it once or twice, and that's it for the rest of its existence. Because then you go into winter, it's cool, it's moist, it gets through the winter next spring, boom, it starts to grow, and it's ready to go for when the heat and the drought come along in the summer. So easy.
Yeah, speaking of heat, we've had quite a mild run here, haven't we?
It's been super mild. I don't know, even maybe milder than last year.
It is. I've been looking at I didn't bring my records, but I just took my records from last year, my daily temperature readings in the backyard, in the greenhouse.
And last year, just for notes, was exceptionally mild. Because the one thing we knew is that all the hydrangeas, which are often finicky about blooming here in the Okanagan because they often freeze down, every single one of them had a banner year, and every bloom on the magnolias bloomed, every bloom on you name it. It was a spectacular year for bloom, and it's even milder this winter so far.
Well, it is milder. The interesting thing is, the past week or 10 days, we've had some pretty chilly weather here. I don't know if it's frozen down at the coast. I didn't really check the records, but whether it did get some frost down there. But we certainly got some frost here in the Okanagan.
Yep.
And not a heavy frost, but, 5 to... I think we had 9 below once, one night.
Oh, yeah. In Kelowna, and at my house was like 10 or 11 below. But it was pretty mild still.
Oh, yeah.
That's not really...
Well, my geraniums still haven't died.
Yeah.
Geraniums are still okay. Well, they're not okay, but they're my experimental. I have experimental geraniums outside because they're I've got lots in the greenhouse, so that's okay. But I've just thought, well, I'll just leave my planters there and see what they do. Yeah, they're hurting right now, but they seem to be popping back. There's some little bit of
Well, yeah, but it is January.
This
is like a bit weird we're even talking about this.
Yeah.
But I sent you a picture on a text message over the Christmas time, and there I was out. That was right when it got cold, when it went to -10, and I was outside looking. My alliums, not all of them, but certain ones, are way over a foot high. They're like, they're about 14, 16 inches tall.
That's new growth.
Brand new, beautiful, healthy alliums coming up and looking great.
They're tough.
Only the one variety. And then I sent you a picture. I took a picture of it. I sent it to you, and I said, well, we'll say goodbye to these tonight because it's going to be -11 or -10. And then, anyway.
How they look now?
Not really happy, actually. They're kind of like, they went from being like super strong and upright and just looking great, and now they're kind of all wilty, and I don't know, they might turn to mush.
It's a fun time because this is the time when we look at the garden and we walk around and we see, well, what's going on? Elaine Cameron, in January 1st, we're doing 1950, what are we doing this year? We're doing 1951 this year, okay? And in January, January 1st, she was out in the garden. She cut off the ribbon grass and sweet clover and hauled out the artichoke tops by the big fir tree. And I know where that big fir tree is still today.
Yeah.
And the bonfire, always having bonfires. Mild and sunny. January 1st, 1951.
Lovely.
Mild and sunny. Yeah. But then as she got, and I'll just take a little sneak peek as we got into the later on, March the 1st. She got through February. February, they didn't talk too much about the cold. It seemed to be warm. March the 1st, cold, it says. Cut off catmint from the rockery top and raked manure there. Cut off some grapevine and bonfire, of course. And then sunny. And then, so it was quite cold, and then it started warming up. Snow going, and the snowdrops are showing again. That was February 16th. So it's kind of fun to look at that and look at what's going on and in our gardens. So, these, as they say, at this time of year, we always look at some gardening resolutions or ideas for the spring. Yeah. So we're going to get into that. We're going to take a short break. We do invite your calls on this Happy New Year Day, 250-862-2525 or 1-888-780-4273 if you're calling from anywhere other than the Kelowna area. We'll be back with The Garden Show after this short break. Well, here we go. I'm going to, as we go through the show this morning, we're going to talk about gardening resolutions and things that they... Now, there's a difference between gardening resolutions and a gardening plan of what we're going to do this year. A resolution means something that you really messed up on last year and you're not going to mess up on it this year. That's a resolution, right? But so the first list I have is some that I just came out of my head.
Ones that you personally didn't follow through with?
Well, the number one is, and there's no reason for the list.
No order?
No order, yeah. Make some notes to start the year and refer to last year's notes made at the end of the season. Of course, you folks that didn't make any notes, you're in trouble. But, if you made some notes last year, get those notes out and look at what happened and what you did, and then make the adjustments for this year and make some notes of what you're going to do to amend those from last year.
Yeah.
Clean up your seed inventory. Start with germination tests for viability, then document and sort them into categories such as direct sowing into the garden, your bean seeds and things that you're going to put into the garden, and carrots and things like that. You don't start in the greenhouse generally. Then you separate those two. So you got your greenhouse seedings and your garden seedings and sort them out too for timing. Maybe make a little box and have your seeds there. Oh, this has to be done by this time.
Well, that's a really important one specifically because of the fact that all these different types of plants we grow all take different lengths of time to come through to fruition. And they also have a different planting out date. And so let's remember, for the general public, is that sometimes they'll be starting their tomato plants next week, and that would be too early.
And Ken, our listening audience, of course, in Victoria, that the folks are wonderful people in Victoria, they have a little different schedule than we have. So we're not going to dictate on the show exactly what to do because you're going to adjust for your own area.
You can dictate based on temperature.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make a list of materials you'll need this spring and get them all at once instead of in one trip.
Yeah.
And sometimes some of these things that you're looking for are on sale, and so you want to get there early and get them while it's hot. And the trip to the garden centers are costly, your fuel and all that stuff. But you go there and you buy stuff you don't need. You have a list.
And follow it?
Yeah, follow the list.
It's like a shopping list, yes, just at the supermarket. If
Keep
you're hungry, watch out.
That's exactly. Don't go shopping for food when you're hungry.
Yeah.
Or garden seeds. I mean, I've seen gentlemen standing there at the garden seeds with this handful of seeds.
Yeah.
They got a garden plot about 10 by 20, and they got enough for an acre.
Yeah.
and they're standing there with these seeds. And it's just because, I love carrots, I love beets, and I love them all, okay, but just remember what kind of space you have to work with.
Are you feeling hungry right now, buddy?
Yeah. Have a bite and then go to the seed rack.
Yeah.
Keep all your tools sharp and clean.
Yeah, that's
a resolution, right? Because that is a function you want to do, but that is something we tend to, first thing in the spring, I do my Felcos. I take them all apart. Whoa, what have I got going on there? Something stuck to my Felcos.
Using them as a hammer again, I
was using them as a hammer. I've been making stuff in the shop, and of course, when I need to bang on something, I just take my Felcos out, tap, 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 I mean, what the heck? It's the universal tool.
They are totally universal.
Yeah. I went to a Christmas party the other day and forgot to take them off. And somebody noted that you've always got your pruners on, don't you?
Well, you never know how tough the turkey's
You
going to be.
just don't know these things.
You're going to be on your own if you don't bring them along.
Avoid using, this is number 5, avoid using old plant containers without a thorough cleaning, especially when you're using them for seeding and starting seeds or cuttings.
Yep.
Talking about an old pot and you're planting it up with some established geraniums or something, not as big a deal.
And recycled potting soil in that same breath.
Oh, yes, yes.
Without trying to at least sterilize it, not sterilize, but pasteurize it a little bit would be nice. And that's one of my I'm bad for that.
Yeah.
I use potting soil and I use it over and over and over again.
Well,
and I'm too lazy to go and throw it in the big turkey pan.
Yeah.
And put it in the oven at maybe 200 degrees. I don't know how low it'll go. 175. Ovens don't go as low as you need to go.
Yeah.
You want to be at 165 and then for 4 hours or something.
Yeah. Just like we used to do the old cooker. But the thing is, all my big containers that I have outside, all the pots and whatever, I throw them into my big bin. And then I've made my shaker that I can put that all through the shaker, get rid of all the roots and everything that are in that. So I got a nice new potting soil, really, but not for seeding. I would never use that for seeding. I always use brand new potting soil when I'm putting seeds and cuttings in. But for planting up my containers again, the only thing missing in that is that fertilizer that is usually in a potting soil to start with.
Yeah.
But I'm feeding all the time anyway, so there you go.
Yeah, you're on that mild liquid feed.
That's right.
On every watering.
That's right.
And it's amazing the difference.
Find a gardening YouTube channel or two that you can rely on for good, solid information. And of course, the one I recommend is Ken Salvell's Grower Coach. But I mean, I'm a little biased because I think it's one of the best on the market on the internet. And he's working.
Bring some good info.
Yeah, and he's working hard to bring some fresh stuff this spring, and you're going to have some fun listening to that one. But YouTube, I'm a big a YouTube channel watcher because I make stuff in the shop, both machining and woodworking and all that. I'm always looking up. There's great guys on there,
Oh yeah.
Hey, the other night we were having this jam session in the workshop on New Year's Eve, and it was actually New Year's afternoon. As I get older, I don't have a New Year's Eve. It's a New Year's afternoon.
Yeah.
Eve, New Year's Eve afternoon. And so here we are. We're having a good time jamming and stuff. And one of the guys that's there that comes, Peter, his good friend, he says, "You guys should start a YouTube channel." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "People would love what's going on here." I said, "Well, maybe some of it they might, but whatever." So anyway, that's not going to happen, but it's a thought.
Yeah. Anything's possible.
Join a garden club.
Yep.
And if you have a specific interest, find one that suits your needs, such as the bonsai club or the orchid club or the whatever.
Yeah.
The nude gardeners club, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You want to get into that.
Yeah, well, and learn and to participate in events, and especially whatever it is, don't be afraid to pay a few dollars to go out to see somebody speak or somebody teach, take a gardening class of some sort and just enjoy it and learn. I mean, that's why we're here, right?
Exactly.
Learn as much as you can.
Well, that's the beauty of gardening is that there's so much to learn. You never stop learning. And anybody that thinks they know everything, see you.
No, the more you learn, the more you realize
That's
you
right.
don't know. But, you build a base and you start to, like you say, in something you're interested in.
Another New Year's resolution here, number 8, try not to let the weeds get out of hand in the garden and avoid letting them go to seed.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It is, but I mean,
You do it.
when I notice with my dear daughter and her partner and their house across the lake, they've got what do you call it? Spear grass that comes up, masses of spear grass. Now, the moment it comes up in the spring, and that's when to get it out of there. That's when you can hoe it out. You hoe it out. It's very shallow rooted, and you can hoe that out of there. But the moment you let it go to seed, now you've got the spear grasses, which are hard on the dogs and the cats. They gets up in their ears and stuff.
And then it comes back the next year, or even within about
seed
6
bank.
weeks, it's back again.
I guess
it's just such a short-lived plant.
Got to do your due diligence with
You have
weeding.
to tend your garden.
Tend your garden. That's what gardening's all about. Speaking of which, if you are able-bodied, take time to help an older gardener or someone that's not so able-bodied with some of the more difficult tasks to keep them in the garden.
Yep.
It was one of the things that Donna has often said, in these folks, the homes that we visit once in a while with retired people and whatnot, they don't have a great gardening component. And I think that would be good. Also, when you're looking at places where folks would need extra care and not be right at home with themselves, I hear these advertising. You never have to cook again. Well, what if you love cooking?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be saying you never have to bang a nail again, Don. You can be in here and you never have to. No, I love banging nails, and I love doing that stuff. So maybe a gardening component would be good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well, and hey, use a garden planner, whether it's a digital one or on paper, a book one, but a garden planner of some sort, because that ties in with the diary and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's very important,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it pays off.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Number 11, support wildlife in the garden. Except for deer, marmots, and pocket gophers.
Yep, but all other wildlife.
Everything
just
else you
not
can have,
those three.
but not those guys.
Yeah.
But no, wildlife in the garden, including beneficials and that kind of thing.
Hummingbirds are one of the
Hummingbirds,
favorites.
yeah.
and
Ask Dan Bruce about
bees.
hummingbirds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on. I guess it's Dan going to phone.
Yeah, I think he will.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him over Christmas, but we might hear from Dan Bruce. But we're going to take a short break right now, and we'll be back with the Garden Show after this short break. Well, here we go. Fresh new year. And hey, this is the very first show of the new year in 2026. And we've got Dan Bruce phoning in, our good friend Dan Bruce. And Dan, didn't see you over the holiday time, the Christmas break. But I'm hoping everything went well for you. And we will get to see you soon, I guess.
Yeah.
It went so well, I didn't even leave the house.
Cool.
All the better.
All the better.
Yeah. No,
everything
it's
is
been
fine.
a lovely mild over the Christmas too.
I'm used to this kind of. Well, I was used to this kind of winter weather in England and in Vancouver. But BC has been hit pretty hard lately, and it's time for a break for us.
Well, we need some snow. We do need that, and but whatever. Let's not complain. Let's look at the new year as being an opportunity to have the best gardening year yet.
I was up in the woods behind Lake Country yesterday with my dogs. They went bounding through the snow.
They love snow.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
They know what it is all of a sudden.
And they run along, at top speed with their nose buried in the snow. How they don't end up in a serious wreck, I don't understand.
Well, they got a better nose than you have. You'd have a wreck if you did that, but dogs have a good nose. I get a kick out of, and these are dogs too, but coyotes when they're listening and they hear a rodent under 2 feet of snow. And they jump up in the air and dive into the snow, and they come up with this rodent. That's pretty darn tricky.
Yes, I wish we could train them to climb trees and get squirrels. That would be great.
Yeah, I think the squirrels kind of outsmart them in some ways. They're so fast.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, after a lot of consideration, some consultation, and some careful thought, I finally made a move in the garden here that I've kind of toyed with for a few years. I cut down the Irish yew that was in front of right in front of the house.
That's been there a long time.
Well, it was planted, I think, in 89.
Okay.
Anyway, I planted it there, thinking from experience in Britain with yews, they're very slow growing. They're not here. This thing went up and up and up and up, and a few years ago I had to actually top it. So we cut the top of it off, and then I let it start again. It just got huge.
Yeah.
If I hadn't topped it, the thing would probably be, I would say, between 25 and 30 feet high now.
Yeah.
So, as I said, I decided to lower it down to 2 feet.
Down to 2 feet. Well, the interesting thing is with yews, like this wasn't an Irish yew, but I had a Hicks yew growing against my first home on Glenwood Avenue when we bought the home in 1973. This yew was planted a foot away from the house. It had a trunk on it that was about 6 inches in diameter, and it was just growing out from the house, and it was just shouldn't have been there. So I cut it down to 3 feet, just a stump practically, thinking, well, one day I'll get here with the backhoe and we'll get them out of there. I didn't do that, and the darn thing just flushed out, and I pruned it as a nice little compact shrub against the house. And so they are quite prunable. Maybe that Irish yew that you have is going to shoot up again and become a nice small Irish yew again.
It will,
Yeah.
but I can keep it as a cushion-shaped thing rather than a pillar-shaped thing. But Irish yew grows in that fastigiate, upright form. And I remember when I was in Northern Ireland, I was taken by a friend of mine to Florence Court, where the original plant of the Irish yew is growing.
Oh.
It apparently was discovered growing in a hedge by an estate worker at Florence Court, and he realized this was a different looking thing, so went to his head gardener, and they propagated with cuttings, and that's where the Irish yew is from. So I actually have seen the original plant.
So it was a sport, or was it a
sport?
It was a sport. Yeah.
Yeah, a fastigiate sport.
Isn't that
But
interesting?
what's interesting here is that there are 2 seedling yews growing in different parts of the garden here. I didn't plant them. They
Progeny
they're
from that one.
bird planted. And one of them is really slender, very, very upright, even more so than the original one here.
Fun.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But having taken down that big one, it's a great improvement. Because your sort of eye was always sort of dodging around it when you're in the house looking out.
Right.
It was a big black thing where it shouldn't have been. Anyway, but making a move like that is always somewhat traumatic, because once you've cut.
Yep.
And you want to make sure that from all angles this is going to work.
Yeah. Well, generally speaking, your garden has been beautiful over the years, and being able to look out from your balcony at the garden is very, very important. Dan, we got to run, but Happy New Year to you, buddy, and all the best. And let's keep in touch and do some gardening together this year.
We will do that, and I will come by in person. So guard that greenhouse, buddy.
Oh yeah, I will. I watch, and you confiscate your pruners and your jackknife when you come in.
And I have other weapons.
Oh, do you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Okay, bud. Take care.
Happy New Year, Dan.
Yep.
Take care.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, tell you, that's always a good guy to know, because he is knowing of so many things in horticulture.
He's been around a bit.
Been around, that boy.
Been around, yeah.
Okay, number 12. We're going to go to number 12 here. Focus on the soil in your garden and build it up with some compost and other organic matter. Like, we tend to forget about the soil.
Well, yeah. Well, you can always tell the people who don't.
Yeah.
Because their vegetables and plants and things are just like happy as campers.
Yeah.
And if anything, they're just trying to control their growth, actually, so they're not getting too big, because the plants are happy and healthy. On that note, that's the beauty of using compost, is that the plants have this sort of steady, healthy growth pattern, where sometimes with fertilization, when you put too much fertilizer on, the plants react and they become so lush and soft that they literally become a feast for insects and diseases because they're just too soft. And so I guess it's like anything in life, you don't want to be too soft. As humans or as plants.
Oh, no, absolutely. And here's one that try a section of the garden with the no-dig method. And you want to consult with Ken Salville because he's been doing that for years. Yeah. Try a section. You know, if you're afraid to kind of dive in and become a no-digger, just try a section and see how that works.
And, you know, I was actually thinking about that this morning and about, you know, if I was to tell people how to do that or how to get started, the number one thing is just to get your base built. And that's to add a lot of compost down quite deep into the soil. So if you build a bin and you want to fill the bin, that's a great opportunity to start. So you can start with this compost and organic matter and some actual topsoil, sandy topsoil ideally. And you build this base up with all these composted items and put a good layer of compost on the surface, and then go ahead and plant your crops and go through the year. The following year, you don't do that anymore. But because you've added enough compost to that soil, that the soil just naturally shrinks down about 4 or 5 inches because this compost breaks down every year, so it just shrinks. So the whole bed shrinks down. By the time you get to next spring, your bed's down about 4 inches or so. And so you can get some more compost of some sort. Ideally something that's fairly pulverized and fine, and just apply that over that entire bed at that 3 to 4 inches deep, and away you go for another year. Plant straight into that compost, and you just keep doing that. And because you built that base with all these composted products in there, it just the whole thing just shrinks just the right amount every year, where it shrinks down to that approximately, like I say, 3 or 4 inches lower.
Yeah. So, you traditionally, of course, you work the soil up, make it fluffy, and to pound away at it with the rototiller and wreck all the PEDs and everything in there. And then you plant your seeds in because it's nice, flat.
Yeah.
But you're doing that with the compost.
Just on the surface, yeah.
You put the compost down and you plant into the compost.
Yep. I'm always looking for deals on bagged compost. You know, some people like worm castings, like Fabulous. They're a little expensive. So, you know, it's what you can afford. And so you have to keep your eyes peeled. And this time of year, you might actually pick up some deals here or there on some of this bagged compost products. Like I've used that fish soil, it's called.
Sea soil?
There's sea soil and fish soil. There's a couple different brands that use it. And that stuff is amazing. It's great. Yeah. So you can buy it now, but then don't apply it until you're ready to plant. All these composted products are just loaded with nutrients, but as soon as they get rained on for a month, well, a lot of that is depleted. So don't put it on until you're basically ready to plant within a day or so. And, you're good to go. And that's all you do the whole season. And what's interesting is that the soil underneath gets harder and harder and harder every year, which seems like counterproductive. But it's not. What happens is that hard soil is so full of where the roots penetrating through. And then
by hard, you don't mean hard pan kind of.
No, I mean like it's firm.
Yeah.
And when you take a chunk of it, you break it out. It's like PEDs is what it is, which is what you call when soil kind of glues together.
Crusty.
And you can take chunks of it, and it's really actually almost hard to break, but you break it, and it snaps, and it's full of all kinds of pore spaces, wormholes, and root spaces. That's why with a no-dig, we don't pull anything out. We just cut it off at the surface, and we leave whatever's underground stays underground. And then
except
that
the carrots. You got to eat the carrots.
Well, you can eat some of your crops if you like. I just do it for decorative purposes. But anyway, you go through and you leave those roots in, especially like tomato plants, some of the larger plants. Oh, yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Because they root down really deep, so you just cut them off at the surface. And then those roots, they all decompose over winter. It
leaves holes.
It has food supply for many of the organisms that are there, including fungus, especially fungus. But then these little passageways where the roots are become little openings, tunnels, and that's where you get gas exchange, where you get air coming in. And so it's quite a nice thing. But what I've noticed, because I've been doing this for quite a few years, is I'm always rotating my crops as well. So then when I get to a new crop, like say a potato, if I want to put a few potatoes in, well, now I got to dig into it because I've never dug down like a foot. So it's interesting. You get in there and you start digging. You go like, oh man, this is like really firm, and you dig it up and you go, well, here's a sort of a chance in a way to reintroduce some more compost down into that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's interesting, and everything just grows like crazy.
Lots of fun. We can talk more and more about that as we come through the year, because that's something you've mentioned over the years. I bought a book on it. There's a book about Value Village. I saw this book, no dig gardening, and it was kind of interesting. So anyway, that's lots of fun, and that's what we do on the Garden Show. We share our information, and we share it with you, and you share your information with us. We appreciate that. Give us a call, 250-862-2525 on this brand new year of gardening, and we'll be back with the Garden Show after this short break. Okay, here we are at number 14. I did the no-dig thing, but grow something you've never tried before. We often say that. Try something new. One year I grew artichokes. That was kind of fun, but I wouldn't do it again. Last year I grew cantaloupe. Won't do it again. You got this huge vine out about 4 cantaloupes. That's probably my fault, but it was fun. It was an experiment to try it again. Try it. Grew tobacco a couple of years in a row. Yeah. Lots of fun. Great, bold plant and everything.
Yeah.
I might do that again because they do give a nice thing. But trying something new every year is a good thing, and then documenting how it did.
Absolutely.
Be diligent increase the diversity in your garden to attract pollinators and beneficial insects and birds. And we talked about that earlier about there are certain wildlife that you don't want in the garden, but we kind of have to accept it and work with them.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, trying to increase like we talk about the beneficials and how to attract them and how to make them make them happy and want to be in your garden and take care of the insect issues that you might have. You turned me on to sweet alyssum, the white alyssum, annual alyssum. That comes back by seed every year, which is nice.
Yeah, it's almost like a little weed, but it's a pretty weed. And the beneficials love it. The little wasps, little tiny wasps that are the beneficial wasps, and they attack many different species of bad insect that we would call bad anyway in our gardens. And man, when you have 50,000 of those on your team, they can really do a number on aphids and some of those real easy, soft-bodied insects.
I want you to, folks, to go to the internet today and look up the beneficial wasps attacking an aphid.
Yeah.
What a great video that is. I actually took that video and used it in some of my courses that I used to teach on insects control and disease in the gardens.
It is. It's such a fabulous...
what a cool thing. They got the little proboscis in their butt, and they go around and they go... Chink,
egg suppository. And remember that with stingers on insects are the ovipositors. Those are what they lay their eggs through, or some do. So the females that are ready to lay eggs, they don't have a stinger. That stinger is there, but it's an ovipositor. That's how they lay the egg.
Yeah.
And then, but it's the ones that are just, guess they just mature as workers or protectors. They have their stingers as stingers, and they're filled with venom. So it's interesting that they can grow which one they want in their nests. So the wasps, just like that, most of them do sting for sure, but not all of them. The queens and some of those ones that are getting close to reproduction stage, they don't have the stinger. But with honeybees, it's interesting that a lot of them are males. So any male cannot have a stinger.
Interesting.
Simple as that. So yeah, same with wasps. The males don't have any stingers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's all
because they don't have ovipositors, right? They're not laying eggs. So yeah, it's an interesting world world. And all these insects, that whole group, are all related. And like you say, with the wasps, some are as tiny as like a 1/16 of an inch.
The moment you mention wasps, everybody goes, ooh, no, they're tiny.
Tiny,
Yeah.
but
They
those
don't
are
sting.
and all wasps are considered beneficial on some level.
Yes.
And because they typically take care of carrion, they take care of fruit that's fallen on the ground, so they're cleaning up all the time. There are just certain species of wasps that are known to be aggressive.
They're a little more aggressive.
Yeah, I would say be patient and just let them be most of the time, unless you have to.
Don't make them mad.
Don't be dancing around, in a bright red outfit or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, Don Stoltz and I were standing on his balcony one time. He had a big, huge cherry tree in his yard, and we were watching the wasps. The wasps were flying around there, so we took a closer look, and they were actually undoing the rolled up leaves of leaf rollers, grabbing the larvae and flying off.
The little caterpillars.
Yeah. Flying off.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot, actually, seeing a wasp flying through the air with this caterpillar hanging out of its mouth. And it's like, those leaf roller caterpillars are a pain, but they're also a food supply for insects like that.
That's
and
right.
also for birds.
Yeah.
There's many little birds that do the exact same thing.
So it's about balance, isn't it? It's all about balance.
Yeah, you have to have some bad guys so that the good guys can live.
Yep.
And I've always said that. I can remember, 20 years ago, we were talking about have a couple plants in your landscape that are just absolutely infested with aphids and things. If it's somewhere out in the side or it's a real buggy plant, have a buggy plant in the landscape and let it be buggy.
That's their cafeteria.
That's where all those beneficials will go, and they'll live there and they'll consume those guys. And then when they're done, and it goes pretty fast, within about 10 days, there's not a bug left on anything. Doesn't matter how infested they are. And then those beneficials are saying, okay, I'm still hungry. I got to lay some more eggs. So off they go around the garden looking for other potential, infestations that are starting. And they'll lay their eggs in there and then go. Yeah. So it's an interesting, that's the balance, like you say. It's for every bad thing, there's good things. And so that means that those bad things are not really bad. Yeah. Even in the case of, borer insects, borers are the ones that we really classify as the worst ones because they kill trees pretty easily. And there's a lot of different types and species. Most are beetles and some are moths.
Like that was one of my topics, or not my topic, but the actual subject of the topic, or the title. Pardon me, I was looking for the word title of my pest control things. Was years ago. It was how to control pests in the garden, right? Then I changed it to the good, the bad, and the bugly. So we got the good guys. We got the bad guys, because there, like you say, there are some bad guys. The boring insects, the shot hole borers, and that sort of thing. They're bad. Some of the fungal problems are bad too. A lot of fungus is really good, but there are a few root diseases and collar rots and things like that that are bad. And the bugly, where the bugly is just stuff that a lot of people don't like to have in the garden, but they're just bugly and they're okay, and you got to have
bugs.
them. Yeah, you got to have them. Yeah.
Insects, and and that's part of nature. You don't ever want to get rid of anything that's just a sort of a benign little creature that's running around doing its thing. They all have a role in nature, and you just got to let them do their thing. Yeah. And it's easy to do because you don't do anything. But it is still interesting from my standpoint as a gardener is to see some sort of an insect or something and learn about it.
You bet, Ken. Now, we've got Sharon calling in from Victoria.
Hello, Dawn and Ken.
Hey,
Good
thanks for
morning.
calling in.
I just want to wish you a happy new year. I'm an old media girl, so I know what to wait for the cut-in for the commercial. I just want to thank you for the birds and bees lesson. And the list is wonderful, but unfortunately, I was reading my Times columnist and listening to CFAX at the same time. So I think the list should be repeated. Like you can give us, 5 things each day, each week. And I love the tips and whatever at the morning, too. And the other thing, I'm not really up on the birds and bees and planting. Okay, so thank you for the males are wasps only males, too. I know the queen bee is a queen, and she's got a whole batch of servants, which are males, right? Okay, is wasps the same?
They're quite different than bees.
They're a little bit different, but they still, as far as I know, only the females can sting.
Okay, I'm not worried about the sting. I can use it, whatever. But when you what will eat the aphids? Only the male?
Nope. All the wasps will consume aphids.
Yep, they got mandibles and they chew away.
If they're not eating them, because they're just like little grapes. So the bigger wasps, like the big yellow ones you see flying around, those guys are really amazing in the garden for cleaning up insect pests. But some of these tiny microscopic ones that we don't even think about, we don't see them very much, but they're very tiny. They need little tiny flowers, and they actually feed on nectar. But then they lay their eggs with their stinger, which is ovipositor. They lay their egg right inside of an aphid.
Okay. Before the clock rings or the buzzer goes, alyssums, does it matter what type of alyssum? Purple ones or white ones? Which are better to attract?
I find the white seems to be the best, yeah.
Okay.
And
is there different kinds, like roses? There's different kinds of roses, right? Like, is there only one kind and two colors of alyssums, or is there more than one kind?
There's lots of different types, but they all self-seed. Like I say, you just buy any white one. And there's the only thing, you just read the specifications on it, and it'll say this is a giant alyssum, it gets really big, or this is a very tiny one, or this is flat. You kind of want tiny flowers, and that's what a lot of these beneficials, they need tiny flowers in order to feed on the nectar. They don't like a great big rose bloom or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else other than alyssums? Because I think it's time for a commercial. No.
Well, yeah, all the mint family. But remember, that's huge.
Family.
The whole mint family. It's humongous.
Yeah, Monarda included and things like that, yeah.
What's that?
Is the alyssum part of the mint family?
Nope, it's a different family.
Yeah.
I heard mints get rid of, is it the kind that you plant for eating? That kind of mint?
Yeah,
yep,
sure.
any of those.
Lavenders, there's all kinds of things.
We're going to have to run now, Sharon, but we do appreciate your call. Happy New Year. Well, just because I kind of had in the back of my mind it might be a slow call day because who's gardening right now? Not too many people. But on the other hand, we do appreciate your calls when you do call in. But because of that, I actually went back to the 2011 first show of the year on January 4th, 2011. And I have some more resolutions, okay? And they're different than
So that must mean this is the 43rd year.
43rd year of the garden show, yes.
The garden show.
Coming in, yep.
Cool.
43 years, yeah.
So you got a lot of years. You could go back and you could find some of those tips.
And I have all the notes.
They're all relevant too. There, and there's so many different tips.
Well, the show has changed over the year, though, Ken, because we just talked an awful lot about beneficials and about predaceous insects and organic add compost and all those good things. Back in the day, it wasn't so much of that. It was more, buy your vegetable booster and your diazinon and your malathion and your chloridane and all that other stuff.
The
it
toxic
just
chemicals.
knocks everything out of the garden.
It everywhere.
You can walk out and you can't hear a sound in the garden because everything's dead.
Everything's dead, yeah.
But now it's a different story. We definitely do a different story.
Yeah, thank God for that.
We've got Eric joining us this morning. Good morning, Eric, and Happy New Year to you. Yeah. Hello, Eric.
Good question regarding poinsettias. Or any type of plant you buy. Do you take the cover off the plant itself, or you keep it on there, or take it off and put the water in?
What's this? This is the little sleeve that they come in?
Yeah, like the
decorative sleeve.
Part of it. Yeah.
Well, you can either cut a hole in the bottom of the sleeve we used to use
wouldn't matter if you
knife.
take it out or not, but it's
You want to have drainage with a poinsettia. You got to have drainage, and those sleeves act like a saucer. And so when you water them, the water sits in there, and the roots rot, and bingo, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't matter to keep it or take it off, and let the
that's what
around it.
That's what I would suggest doing.
I prefer to take it off, and then I can see the pot. And one of the clues when you're wondering how dry a plant is, because like poinsettias, they actually like to get a bit on the dry side between each watering, and you can tell by cheating and touching those holes in the bottom of the pot to feel if they feel wet or dry. And it can give you a concept as to what's going on, other than popping the whole thing out of the pot, which there's nothing wrong with that. We do that a lot in the industry to look, inspect the roots and see how wet it is. So,
Yeah, that's about all, basically. And just I'm waiting for the snow to fall.
Yeah, we could
aren't
use some
we
snow,
all?
Eric. Yeah, we could use some snow. But anyway, thank you for the call, and I appreciate your support over the years on the Garden Show. Yeah,
Like
you
the
bet.
information you bring helps me out too. So
Okay, buddy.
Awesome.
yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
Eric.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah. And I believe we have Sharon back. Sharon from Saanich again. Sharon, hey, morning.
My gosh, I'm grateful it's a slow day. Just because it's 6 degrees in Victoria, Saanich, I
nice.
can't garden because it's raining. Okay. Follow up on the rats. I mean, not the mint. Is it? I've never planted mint before. I hear they get rid of rats and mice. Is that true?
I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah.
Okay, don't
they're
worry about
pretty
that.
tough. Yeah,
I'll
no,
phone the
probably not.
SPCA.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not. I would say
Somebody's digging in my tulip bulbs at my foundation planting, and their deep holes is facing north, and they're really big holes, and the only other plants there is rhodos, they're not bothering them, and hydrangeas and hostas. Of course, hostas aren't up right now. What do you think is digging in the holes?
Well, that's a good question.
By the tulips, only the tulips.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
deep
they're
holes.
probably, if it's a pocket gopher, which we have a ton of pocket gophers out this
gopher?
way. Yeah, they actually would eat those bulbs often underground over the winter time. And
Oh, really?
so, yeah, so...
So you're seeing holes?
Yeah, I'm in Saanich, which is part of Greater Victoria. Would I have gophers?
Well, gophers are grass eaters more than they are bulb and root eaters. It's the pocket gophers, which are a smaller animal. And most of the time through the summer, and especially in the heat of summer, they keep their holes buried in a mound of soil. It looks like a molehill, a little molehill.
No,
right?
they left it as like they
When
would
it's
bury
open. But
somebody.
in the wintertime, in the fall, winter, and spring, those holes are often open. And then then the hole just looks like it's a small gopher hole, generally about 2 inches in diameter or something like
Oh,
that.
this is like maybe 2.5 inch diameter,
Yeah.
3 to 4 inches deep.
Well, Sharon, what you want to do is get a piece of cardboard or fabric out there and put some flour, some white flour on it. Now, not when it's pouring rain.
yeah.
But
But it's winter. What kind of white flowers can I put? Orchids? No.
We're
We're not
talking
in
flower
Hawaii.
like flower.
no flour. We're talking about Robin Hood flour.
FLOUR.
Oh, flower.
And then when you can
see
see the little feet and which kind of feet are
footprints.
the footprints of whatever's out there.
And you just
Oh,
put it
'cause we don't
beside
get
there.
snow. That's very good. I don't bake, so you can send me baking anytime.
And put an umbrella over top of it. But you
Each
know,
hole is 12 holes and 30
yeah.
feet.
The other thing is now these little trail cams are pretty handy to have.
I don't have one of those.
No, but they are.
I have a gun.
They're
No, I don't.
available. But the trail cam is kind of a cool thing because you can just move it around and sit it on a stump or sit it on a rock, and it's just always on, and it doesn't do anything until it gets some motion happening. So you can just sit it and point it right at the hole or where there's a couple holes, and just leave it there for a couple days, and then come back a couple days later and see if there's any action. Now, a lot of these guys, they may actually hibernate over winter as well, so you may not see much action for the next month or so. But
So these are fresh holes you're seeing?
Yes, I see that.
Fresh
Well,
ones,
I don't check in the winter that much because it's really busy at Christmas time, right? House cleaning and all that stuff. No, so I didn't do any gardening. And then just before Christmas, I saw them. And then there was 10 holes, and now there's 12.
Oh, okay.
And they don't. Are gophers nocturnal? Because I figure could they be raccoons? We don't have gophers that I know of.
Yeah.
No, the other thing that you will see from time to time are weasels. But weasels are really, really beneficial because what they eat is mice and gophers.
No. They're digging holes and eating tulip bulbs, I think. I won't know. The tulips are just planted. The first time they bloom was 2024. And they were planted 2023 because I know they do near cold period, like the bulbs freeze or whatever. I mean, you can't put... I don't have any luck with them in pots, in other words. So we don't keep them out in the cold, so we planted them in the ground. And they're not eating the other ones on the east side. And somebody used to dig on the east side, but I can't put any... What do you call that thing? Like
Bait.
like screen and rocks because the bulbs are intermixed with the rhodos, but they're not doing anything to the rhodos or the hydrangeas or the what do you call those? The hostas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's definitely some sort of a burrowing animal. If you can prove that they've actually eaten some of the bulbs.
Yeah, they have.
You
But
found the
they're
bulbs
empty.
and they're all chewed up. Or they have big chunks
They're
sticking out
gone.
of them. They're gone.
They're gone.
Oh, they're gone.
Yeah, yeah.
only thing-
Like I say, it's probably pocket gophers, and that's where you get pocket gophers that go into these bulb patches, which happened to me. Then, if you're lucky, you get a weasel that moves in, and the weasel gets in there, and he just cleans up all those pocket gophers. And so the trick is there is that just
Find out what it is.
yeah, because the weasels are endangered species typically, and you want to help promote them. And that's one of the reasons why we end up with so many rodents and whatnot around, is that we don't have enough weasels.
Yeah, we killed all the weasels.
Yeah, in the
Well, I
Okanagan,
thought
we
we-
have a couple
oh,
species
sorry.
here, but they're so hard to find. They're just rare because I think years ago the farmers killed a lot of them.
Yeah, they used to get into our chicken
Yeah,
pens.
they'll
Yeah.
eat
Oh,
birds
yeah.
and all kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought weasels were near the water.
No.
Like you have to live. We're on an island, but you know.
Yeah,
but we're not-
no. Well, weasels.
Otters are in the wild.
Yeah, otters. Yeah.
Oh, right, otters. I
Yeah,
used to work
They're
at
kind of
shipyard.
probably related.
And when we say pocket gophers, they're not a true gopher per se. They're a rodent, but they're like a mole, as Ken was saying. They leave a mound like a mole does, but they
There's no
don't.
mound.
Moles are carnivorous, and pocket gophers are vegetarians, and so that's the difference. But they're very similar in their habits, physical habits of burrowing and leaving mounds of soil. So, but if it's not leaving a mound, but like Ken said, in the winter, maybe they're not leaving mounds. Maybe they're
all
they-
all my pocket gophers right now, the holes are wide open.
Okay. Well, there
Oh,
you go.
that's how mine are. So maybe I should look up on the internet what pocket.
Yeah, pocket
goes.
gophers.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
sure.
don't
You
know
know,
about
it'd be interesting, Sharon, if we'll just put the word out, the folk on the island, do you have pocket gophers or you just have moles? Because I know the gentleman that used to sell us the mole buster was from the coast, and he said down the coast we have moles. In the interior in Kelowna area you have pocket gophers. So maybe they don't have pocket gophers there. Who knows? Anyway, somebody there might know that, Sharon.
But they
and,
definitely like the west side, the warmer side where the sun shines.
This
That's
is north.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, the other thing I need to let you know is that I have a big white, it never turns color, beautiful hydrangea. They're not near there. That's the only part they're not near. Everything else, I guess whoever's eating the bulbs have a really good sense of smell. Right? Do you think?
they would have a good sense of smell, yeah.
Okay, and the other thing, the big hydrangea, I know you don't prune them in the fall like other hydrangeas. You know, the tall ones, you can cut them down to about 6 inches, and they still will grow and bloom. When's the best time to cut them down? The hydrangea, the white ones.
Well, these are the ball-shaped ones, like they're
Yes,
white
yes,
balls,
the big,
like the
beautiful.
arborescens
Yeah, you got
types.
to positively identify them so that you know you're not cutting them too hard. Just
Oh,
because
this one I cut down.
every year,
don't-
and it
Yeah,
always
yeah.
blooms.
It was gifted to me when we were delivering the Times Collins newspaper,
So, yeah,
actually.
so it's-
And we were just wondering, what's a good time to trim that one?
That's probably an Annabelle type, and yeah, you can do them anytime now. I did mine about a month ago.
Okay, because you know how you can clean up the other ones
Yeah.
anytime. I mean, the other
Yeah.
ones that you, like the pink and blue
Yeah,
ones.
yeah.
and-
Always
You gotta be
I
careful
use
with
it
those.
in the
them,
summer because
yeah.
I don't know where to trim. I just wait for the new growth. But this other one, the big, huge white one,
Just cut the whole thing.
Cut the whole thing down. Sharon,
Yeah,
we
I
got to
cut-
run. We got to go, but we really appreciate your call. Take care.
Thanks, Sharon.
And
Bye-bye.
we're going to take a short break
Happy New
here,
Year.
and we'll be back with the Garden Show after this short break.
Alrighty, we are back with you. Another interesting gardening season that's approaching. You know, this weather for us here in the Okanagan, we're experiencing barely freezing, maybe 1 degree of freezing, maybe 2, but on average we're above freezing every day, and this is pretty mild, and it's as mild as it has been. Like last year, we were talking about, it was amazingly mild last year. It was just an amazing thing. And then everything bloomed so incredibly good in 2025. But now here we are in 2026, and it's actually even warmer
Yeah.
this so far. And it's kind of concerning. Like I was saying, my alliums are already a foot high out in the garden, and that's a little scary because it's January. It's just the beginning of January. We still have to go all the way to the end of March. And they normally would be blooming and pushing up through April and then blooming. Or in this particular variety, I know the variety, it's later blooming. It normally doesn't bloom until about end of May sort of timing, which most alliums are blooming in April, for us.
So we're all mixed up.
We're
We've
a little
got
mixed up.
Bill joining us this morning. Good morning, Bill.
Morning, gents.
Good morning.
Ironic that Ken started talking about it being so warm because on December 18th, I took pictures of my sunflowers that I normally plant along my driveway.
Yeah.
They were 4 inches up. And my hyacinths that are line the sidewalks, they were coming up too. So I started walking around the yard. My roses are spitting out the little red leaves right tight to the shaft.
Yikes.
I've got wildflowers that are coming up in 2 of the pots.
Wow.
I'm wondering what is this going to do to the normal process? Because those sunflowers were 4 inches tall.
Yeah.
That was just bizarre to see them.
It is.
There may be an issue with those because if we do get some hard frost now, that foliage of the sunflowers is pretty vulnerable to
They're
that.
just seedlings.
I'm
So
sure
They're seedlings.
It'll kill it off, yeah.
But more than likely, what you've got going on, Bill, is that there are more seeds to germinate on those sunflowers.
Oh yeah.
I don't think all the seeds germinated. Some of them got triggered somehow and have joined, and they're done because they'll get knocked down by the frost. But I think when people ask that over the years, many years that we've been doing this, for the most part, I just say, well, you just got to roll with it because stuff. There's certain things you could do, like Ken with his alliums. You could cover them with something, but you put a tent over them, whatever. You can do all sorts of stuff, but you kind of have to let it go and just say, okay, this year we had the alliums froze back, but the alliums will come back anyway from the bulb.
Yeah,
they're
they
not
come
gonna,
out. They come throughout the year.
They're not going to die, but
I'm not going to lose all my sunflowers. To me, it was just bizarre to see things growing in
I
December.
know. No, it's
I
great.
didn't think we had enough light to trigger anything to grow, but so they go off the heat. My next question to you is, when can I start trying to reseed some of the dog-worn areas of my lawn? Because if the sunflowers are growing, can I throw seed down if I know it's going to stay above?
Well,
what's the lowest temperature I can put grass seed down at?
Well, the problem is more not really the weather or that. Grass seed could be put down now is no problem, but you're also feeding a bunch of sparrows.
So
you want to wait until they've got other food to not just give them a bunch of grass seed to eat.
It doesn't seem to matter what time of year I put grass seed down. They find
they do.
Unless I cover it.
I would suggest early April would be an ideal time to put some grass seed down. It'll germinate quickly and it'll come through. I've planted grass seed in the snow. I've raked it into the snow, and it's germinated.
Well, I figure there's less birds around, and I haven't seen too many starlings. Yeah. Although the birds, I'm hearing birdsong now, so they're coming back.
Yeah, well, for the price of grass seed, you might as well just try it now and reseed again in April when
feed some birds. My next comment is, I don't think people remember they got to turn their radios down when they're talking to you because it gets frustrating hearing you guys going, hello, are you there, Bob? Bob, where are you?
Yeah.
So please remind people they got to turn their radios down.
Yep. Get the feedback going.
Yeah, for sure.
Gotcha.
Anyways, thanks very much.
Okay, buddy.
You have a good day.
Appreciate
Happy New Year.
Appreciate the call, Bill. All the best.
Thanks
You
for
bet.
calling.
All those things are
pretty
good.
cool.
Good
Cool.
subjects and good to talk about. Now,
We're just like you say, we're just gonna have to wait this out and see what happens. I mean, some things are gonna be damaged and some things not gonna be good. I remember one year wasn't quite this warm, but it was very warm, and it was about the end of February, and I had these little miniature daffodils. The little Jack Russells, I think they're called, the little shorties. About 10 inches tall, and I had a whole big planting of them along the front of my house, and I always enjoyed that every year, typically in the end of March sort of timing. Here we are, end of February, and they're all like 10 inches high, and the buds are coming on. And then it went to -10, and every single one of them was dead. That was it. They all froze to the ground, turned to mush, and that was it. And I was looking at them. I thought, boy, I hope it doesn't get cold because this is too early.
Did the bulbs go to mush too?
Yeah.
Oh, everything died.
Everything. Well, because they were fully grown plants.
Okay, yeah.
Like they were up, and the buds hadn't opened, but you could see the buds were just tight.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, they should be able to handle some frost. The rate against the house, they were within 18 inches, but it was not always how cold it gets, but how it gets cold. There was zero snow cover, and it got windy when it got cold, and that wind, it sucks the heat away. Like if it's in a protected area against the house, if it's not too windy, it's a pretty nice little environment. But in this case, not so much. So, and I also had some snowdrops along there as well, and they also succumbed to that. They were blooming really early, actually.
One of the things that this mild weather is going to have an effect on is the control of some of the insects and rat population, the various other things that overwinter that we rely on the cold weather to knock them down a bit.
Yeah.
And on a mild winter like this, so we can expect a few things in the spring that we maybe normally don't see, and especially after 2 years of this, two mild winters in a row. But we still got a month and a half to go because I look at the weather forecast, and right up to the middle of January, it's this kind of weather. There's no bad stuff, right?
+2.
Yeah, and then down to -5, that kind of stuff.
Hardly anything,
but none of that -20 stuff, right? And so that's right up to the middle of January now on the weather, and if we can rely on that, which we normally can. So we got really a month and a half to worry about. Like I always say, November, December, January, February, those are the 4 months where we can get real bad stuff.
Yeah.
Once you get into March, -15 would be very unusual for March. But -10 you can get, but that's kind of temperature you can stand. But
-10 for us, especially in this climate. We're not too concerned about a -10. And it's like I've always said, is it's not how cold it gets, but how long it gets cold or stays cold. So if it was, say you had a -10 at night and a +1 in the daytime, that's nothing. That's hardly anything. But if you have a -10 at night and then a -9 in the day, now that's cold. Because you got that 24-hour solid freezing, and that goes on for weeks and weeks.
There's no reprieve.
No, that can be deadly to some plants. But we would normally, I would say a normal winter for us here, we would get to that -20. We're talking degrees Celsius as well for people who are listening in. But the -20 would be pretty typical for us here. And even like we had -33, whatever it was, like 2 years ago. And that was pretty devastating.
2 years in a row we had a really bad hits.
-32 one year, -33
and
the next.
One was in the fall, one was in the spring.
Because the -20 is normal, but -32, oh my God.
And for the Okanagan.
Yeah, remember, -40 degrees Fahrenheit and -40 degrees Celsius is equal.
Yeah,
They're both the same. So it's just funny how that works out.
Okay, I'm going to go back to my list here. We've got a couple of minutes left before the bottom of the hour break, and we do invite your calls. I can carry on with my list all you want till the cows come home, but because I've just come to the last part of my first list. Okay, and number 16 was be diligent in your contribution to water conservation.
Yes,
very, very important with water conservation. I'm not saying to stop gardening, but to listen to some of the Xeriscape principles that are out there now, and just remind yourself every time you're out watering, do I need to be watering, or is it just habit?
Yeah, exactly.
Watching your sprinkler systems and governing them, but really be as much as you can backing the conservation.
Old plants really don't need much water.
Yeah. Exactly.
You water them maybe once a month or something.
Yeah.
Really, you give them a long, slow soaking with a garden hose or something, and then that's it till the next month.
That's right.
So it's not very common that older plants need water, but newly planted plants, it's in our climate when it's hot in the summer, we have to water newly planted plants literally every day.
Yeah, a brand new plant.
Yeah,
but you don't just turn the sprinkler system on and water the whole garden just for that.
That's a great example right there. Is that you put in one new plant, don't crank your entire system up for that. No. Just tend your garden, pay attention to it, grab the hose, go out, give it a little shot, and you're good to go.
Well, I've got coming up, I've got another 4 gardening New Year's resolutions to do from 2011. But the last one I have, just before we take this break here, last but certainly not the least, listen to the Garden Show every Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I mean, put that on your resolutions.
Yeah.
Put the timer on, Garden Show, every Saturday morning from 8 till 10. And there you go, both in Kelowna, Penticton, and in Victoria.
Yeah, and if you forget and miss it, remember, go to growercoach.com or Grower Coach on YouTube and look up. I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos, and you can go into the section called Garden Show or Garden Show Podcast, and you can pick up some of the old shows there. And they're just as relevant then as they are now.
Yep.
Vice versa.
Okay, we're at the bottom of the hour. We invite your calls, 250-862-2525, or 1-888-780-4273 if you're calling from out of the Kelowna area. And we will be back with the Garden Show after this short message. Well, the last of the first list was listen to the Garden Show. And of course, that goes without saying. We've been listening to the Garden Show and doing the Garden Show now for 43 years. This is our 43rd year. The exact number today is 2028 is our number today on January 3rd. 2026. Ooh, I just missed. You do that every year.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah, take a while. 2026. So I get trouble with 20.
Yeah,
I'm always saying 19 something.
19 something, yeah.
Anyway, here we go. So here are some resolutions, and these are resolutions from 2011, because resolutions and plans are two different things. Resolutions. Okay, I promise. These are promises. I promise to keep on top of the weeding. Remember, the old saying is quite true. 1 year's seeding is 7 years weeding. There are two types of weeds in the garden. Annual weeds, such as pigweed and sow thistle and things like that. They come back each year and from seed. So the idea is just don't let them go to seed. If they do go to seed, some of it just sits in the ground dormant for as long as a number of years, 7 years or so, or even more. So that's where the saying comes from. Perennial weeds come back from the roots each year. Weeds such as quackgrass, mare's tail, bindweed, and wild morning glory are difficult to deal with. If you keep them from producing foliage, the root systems will diminish because they can't create food for themselves. There are chemicals to be out there, but Ken and I are both on the non-chemical bandwagon here. However, if some of the chemicals are still legal, if you want to use them diligently and carefully and follow the directions, read the labels and all that. Whether it's annual weeds or perennial weeds, the best thing to do is to keep on top of them. Okay, and I know that's hard for some people, but as I say, if you are able-bodied and you know a gardener that's getting not able-bodied, either getting elderly or has some physical problems, go and help them out with some of the, and weeding would be one of them that you could do to help them out. And weeding, getting in there. So that's your good deed for the day. I promise to keep, this is my promises. This is like, I promise to keep on top of watering. Of course, I don't mean to abuse the water. In fact, by being cognizant of your plant's needs and watering accordingly is better than having to flood the garden out when things get too dry. Many of us have automatic systems, and sometimes these can spawn very inefficient watering practices. Most of us have been guilty of having our water come on during a period of rainy weather. It all takes a little bit of monitoring so the system comes on only when it's necessary. It's a great tool, but as you've been in the business for years, Ken, you know that only a tool has to be used as a tool. You can't just let it go nuts.
Especially irrigation. It's totally out of control is what I would say. When I go to properties that are where people just really don't understand the concept and they don't really understand how their timer works and they start messing with it, things go sideways. And it's not just a waste of water, but sometimes it's just no water. They have overlapping programs, and one program prevents the next program from running because it's still running, and then it kicks one out, and next thing you know, I don't know why it's so dry, and you're still cranking it up, and it still looks dry. It's frustrating, hard on the plants and the garden. And as you just said, is that if your garden gets so dry, like for us in the Okanagan, we're in a semi-arid desert, so we can have gardens get parched. So what happens is that we want to just maintain a certain amount of moisture. We know when we water well, we water nice and deep, and then we don't water again until it's needed. And so with automated systems, that means about every 3 days is about what we look at. In the springtime, we don't need much, maybe once every 2 weeks. Then as it warms up, you might go to once a week. And then when it gets hotter, you're twice a week. And then if it gets smoking hot, you might maybe go to 3 times a week. So it's this whole thing that if you're not making the adjustments, who is?
Speaking of smoking hot, which it can get in the Okanagan, we can get 40 degrees here.
It's a drought down the coast too.
And down the coast, it can get smoking hot too. Now, is watering in the daytime when it's really hot a disadvantage, or should you water at night? People say, well, don't water at night because there's all this fungus and everything. I don't think that's a problem, but I think it's a problem when you water in the daytime. I don't know if there's been any scientific experiments done, but you're watering and the sun's out full. A lot of that water's got to evaporate.
Oh, yeah. Most of it does, I'm sure. Even just if you have a sprinkler that's spraying in the daytime, and that sprinkler is throwing water up into the air to, say, cover a lawn or something, or a flower bed, well, there's 30% loss of what comes out of that sprinkler that gets sprayed over and then through the air, that hot air, warm air. 30% of it is immediately gone. And that's why they have newer types of sprinkler heads now that have bigger droplets so they don't evaporate. The finer you spray that fog mist, the quicker it evaporates. Right. So they try to get sprinklers that have bigger droplets. That helps to spread that water a little bit better, make sure it hits the ground. But, of course, let's water at night, everybody. Let's make it like late evenings and early mornings at the latest. And follow your local municipal guidelines. Yeah,
the guidelines. Yeah,
and then, but make sure you're watering enough. And sometimes you need to hire in a professional to come in. And again, I hate to say this, but it's not always your irrigation guy who knows how much to water. It's really your horticultural guy who knows how to water. And because there's usually not much crossover. The irrigation guys are fabulous. They
can set the clock. They know how to set the clock.
But then they can't walk through the garden and say, well, this is that species, this is this species, this area.
Some could.
This soil is very heavy clay, so we have to water it a certain way. So you have to know where your zones are and how much you're watering. So it's definitely advantageous. And that's one thing that I do is I go out and do consulting on irrigation systems and teach people how to use them and show them what to do.
Perfect.
It's a good value and it sets you straight right away. So
Ken, that's great. It's very similar to a computer, for instance. Like when they're you hear the computer shows on and whatnot. If your computer is 5-6 years old, it's starting to get a little bit needing some upgrading or whatever, or even replacing with a computer. With an irrigation system that's 5 years old and hasn't been looked at or touched, it needs some work. It needs somebody to come in like yourself, come in and look at things and say, well, this, and even just, lines under trees where the roots are impacting them and whatnot. So it's not, done deal. Everything's good for 20 years.
This is the problem with some irrigation companies. It's not their problem, but it's the system. Is what they do is they come out in the springtime, probably in early April, and they turn that system on, and it goes on, and it's set for every second day or whatever it's set on, and full blast irrigation, because they know they're never coming back. They may not even come back in the fall, or they might not come back unless they're called. But that thing needs adjusting every 4 weeks through the whole season. You got to be tweaking it. And like in April, you should only be watering at the most about once a week. For us here, and this is a dry climate, coastal regions, they may not have to water more than once every 2 weeks, if that. That's why a lot of systems at the coast, they may not even have irrigation systems, right? Where we have to have them or things just die. But let's just say we have to adapt with the climate and with the weather conditions and all that. If it pours rain all April and your system's going off every second day, it could be a little bit of a waste of water.
Ken, we've got Wayne joining us from North Saanich. Saanich is listening in today. That's great. How you doing, Wayne?
Very well, thanks.
Good.
A little bit of rain, that's all.
Yeah.
No
Nothing to it.
No, my garden's getting water, yeah.
Perfect.
A question I have, I've got a very healthy laurel fence, a laurel hedge.
Yes.
But a large laurel fence, been there for many, many years. And just last year, about a third of the laurel just died back completely. Just a third of it, nothing else, just one-third at one end just died back.
Now, you say last year?
Yeah.
Like in other words, last spring you had some.
Yeah. It's been over a year it died back, and I haven't done anything to it. I'm just sort of deciding what to do to remedy it.
Well, you want to, you want to have a very close look at is it an entire plant that's affected, or is it a portion of the plant?
A row of the plants itself. About a third of the plants in the hedge died back.
Like the entire plant, individual plant is dead, right?
Yep.
Interesting.
The leaves dropped off, and it went back to nothing.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have that investigated, because you've got to know what the heck's going on, whether it's a borer infestation, like beetles that burrow into the stems, into the root. Is it like when the whole plant dies, it's generally something physical that's going wrong with it. So whether it's
root rot,
it can be
root rot.
It could be it could be even, we were just talking about pocket gophers eating the roots off of trees.
Now, it's been over a year, and I'm just seeing new growth start come back.
From the base?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of new growth coming at the base.
Okay.
So that tells you that it's more vascular.
Yeah.
So either way, you have to, I would say this is your quest now is to try to figure out what the heck's going on. And so, because what happens is if you get a disease in your soil, for example, that spreads to those plants and absorbs up into the plant, then you won't be able to replace that plant, and it's just going to continuously die back every year from here forward, because the disease is in the soil. So then any new plants that get introduced have to be disease-resistant species. So it's really a challenge.
Probably,
and then if you have an insect, or if it's an animal, or sometimes like out here, we sometimes get mouse damage, and the mice come out and they eat all the bark off the base of the tree. You don't really notice it until you get in there and look. And then, so I'd say that's your thing right now, is just try to get some close-up pictures. You're welcome to send us pictures if you like.
You're looking for frass. You're looking for sawdusty frass on the stems and what. However, I still want to go back to. We got to take a break pretty quick here, but I still want to go back to the fact that this occurred. Like, there are laurels that are not very hardy at all, and you may have those. And it was those 2 years we had in a row of cold winters, not last winter, not a year ago. Last winter was very mild, but the winter before, we had that February hit, and you guys got it too. And then the winter before that, we got the November hit, and you guys got that too. But you didn't get as cold as we did, but some of those laurels may be vulnerable to even that cold.
And that actually happened to Don's. He had a Russian laurel, one of these real hardy ones, and that thing, it got hit the 2 winters. The first winter, it got some damage. The second winter, it just couldn't recover, and it got cut right to the ground. And now it's shooting
growing
up,
back at the base,
shooting up from the roots and whatnot.
So that I'm thinking, because of you're seeing some new growth come on there now, it may not be disease or insects. It may be environment.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, buddy.
Send us some pictures if you like. Just to,
I will do that.
Yeah, our website.
Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
You too.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
And on that note, we're going to take our last break of the morning of the first show of the year. Look at that. I still said 19. It's 2026. It's not 1926. Is it, Grinder? No, it's 2026. We'll be back after this short break with The Garden Show. We're back with you on the final little section here of The Garden Show, the first garden show of the year. So I'm on number 3 of my 2011 hints or resolutions for a gardener. Number 3 is I promise to get my seeding and planting done in a timely manner. Getting the garden prepared and planted on time means so much when it comes to a successful harvest. For instance, I did not get my garlic planted last fall when I should have, so my crop will be late this year and probably not as large. Spring planting of garlic is okay, but it's so much better in the fall. The window for planting tomatoes is from April 20th to May 24th, depending on the weather. And that's, the 24th of May is really the key time. To 20th of April, you don't want to put them outside, but you can plant the seeds indoors.
Yeah, but it is this temperature thing, too.
It's the temperature.
If you have crazy weather and it's not going right, don't plant them yet. No. Is you got to have that weather window. Remember that with plants, it's not always the date, but it's the temperature. Right? So, you wait till whenever, like if it's looking like an early spring, well, you can be a little bit ahead, but really the tomato plants, they don't like to be colder than about 10 degrees Celsius.
That's right. So you can put them, if they're in containers, you can throw them in a protection area at night and bring them back out. You can do all sorts of things to manipulate things, but you just got to plant it and make sure spring planting, I should say, planting too early can be dangerous because of the frost, and planting too late results in losing the first tomato on the block contest. So there you go.
Or even mixing your species up when you know you have a plant, say like coriander or cilantro. I want to get that out super early.
Yeah.
I want that to be planted in the cold, right in the snow, and I'm going to be able to harvest it until it gets warm, like into early May. For us here, it gets too hot too fast. At the coast, coastal regions, they can do it much. Theirs will go pretty much year round, but it's too hot here for
the other end of the spectrum is, of course, your basil.
Yeah,
which you,
exactly.
You
Opposites.
can't. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And yet they sort of, not on every level, but they're sort of a little bit kind of similar at times. You know that small-leafed basil?
Yes.
Kind of looks a little bit like it, but anyway, doesn't matter what they look like. It is what they are. So
they need
coriander or cilantro is very early. Basil is one of the last things you plant in June.
Number 4 of my 2011 gardening promises that I'm going to keep. And this is 2011. I don't know if I kept them. Who knows? But I promised to keep my plants well fed this year. It's a gradual process when a plant is starving to death, and sometimes we don't even notice it till it's too late, in particular plants in containers. Now, look at Ken. It's interesting. We in our home, I have a home chef. She calls herself a home cook, but I think she's a home chef. Donna just does such a great job. And she watches these YouTube channels and all sorts of things on cooking, right? And they were showing a vineyard, and they was walking out into the garden saying, and this is where we get our produce from, and this is what we've put in our restaurant, right? That garden was so pale and so needed food.
You could tell.
I thought they can't be using that. That's a gimmick. They're saying they're using that, but they can't be using that. It's a garden is so pale it's
dying.
Yeah, they got one little tomato hanging there, and
the plants that feed the most are typically vegetables.
Yeah,
they're going to feed more. Like you can put in perennial plants and roses and all kinds of things, and if you just don't feed them this year, you don't really notice too much difference, like a little bit, but not crazy. But if you don't feed your vegetables, they are pale, and especially, like you say, any plants in pots. I find petunias are the first ones to tell you. Yeah. They're so heavy feeding, they just continuously consume food. So the plant starts out looking really great when you first get it out there, and then it just starts fading and fading and fading. And, like I think we're talking about it all the time is with annual planters is you feed every time you water. Every time.
Well, yeah, we bought one of those bag of blooms from the greenery last year.
Oh, the bag.
The bag of blooms,
and it's a little
in a bag. The little small petunia, the Calibrachoa.
Yeah,
and it was a massive bloom all summer long. And Donna, every day she was so diligent. She went out and she gave it a little drink of a good drink of fertilized water.
Yep.
That thing stayed great. And then we were away for a little bit in the summer, and the person was helping us neglected that, and boy, it took a turn. Yeah. But we got it back again by feeding. So it's very, very important.
And I've done that with tons of plants. My problem is I have automatic watering on my planters. That's a problem because it just washes all the nutrients right out of the soil so fast. And the plants, they're heavy feeders and they're just starving. And then even though every time I water, I'm still watering, even though I have automatic water, then I'm feeding with straight fertilizer water. It's not enough. So I would integrate in these slow release planter or hanging basket food products, like it's Osmocote or Nutricote. You can sprinkle that on the soil surface, and then every time your automatic system goes off, it's always washing those beads. A bit. But in the Okanagan, it's so hot here that we need to replenish that once a month. It could only last for about 4 weeks here. It's amazing, just the heat, because they are temperature release. And we get into that string of 30 to 40 degrees Celsius days. Like, that's pretty...
Yeah, feeding is important. That was
tough.
my last one there. But before we close today, Christmas tree disposal, that's happening. And the regional district of Central Okanagan, of course, they recommend giving your tree another life by dropping it off at one of the many free chip locations. The trees will then be chipped and composted into a nutrient-rich compost called Glengrow, available at various locations, including the Glenmore landfill. That's locally here. I know we have programs as well in Victoria and Vancouver and Penticton, but the Central Okanagan Regional District, you got to check with your regional district, and they'll kind of tell you where your drop-offs are. But in the Central Okanagan, the drop-off locations, December 26th to the 31st of December. Open. Okay, no. Right till the end of January, they're still chipping. Okay,
all right.
Ben Lee Park in Kelowna, Capital News Center on the King Road, Ring Road, in the Lower Mission, Glenmore landfill. The landfill is open from Monday to Saturday from 7:30 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. and it'll be closed December. Well, it's past that now, so I won't even mention that. There is a 3-tree limit, and load must be tarped. So if you're taking one out for your neighbor, make sure there's only 2 neighbors, not three, because you all have 4 trees and they won't let you in. West Kelowna, Peachland, West Side Residential Waste Disposal and Recycling Center on Asquith Road in West Kelowna. They're open from 7:30 to 3:50 p.m. Lake Country, Jack Seaton Park, 1950 Camp Road, Jack Seaton Park. So the trees can also be, and this is what I highly recommend. First of all, you take all the tinsel and all the ornaments and everything off, and the tree can be chopped up into small pieces and put into the green bin. That's the simple way to do it.
That is true.
Cut it all up.
Yeah. It's one of these things with the trees is that they can be composted, and it works really good. I don't think we have as many as we used to have. People are really going to more of these artificial trees now, which is, I think, it's fine. My tree is artificial and it's beautiful. But yeah, they make great compost, and you can reuse them.
Keep in mind that when you're putting them in the green bin, they have to be 2 inches or like 5 centimeters or less in size. The branches,
right?
So you can push that a little bit, but not too much.
Our green bins are not being picked up now until they only went to December 31st.
That's right.
So,
that's right. But they'll start again.
It'll stay there till spring.
And you don't have a lot of garden waste going there.
No, and it's refrigerated and everything. But whatever community you're in, these are our numbers. But if you're in a local community and you're listening in, is just contact your local municipality and they'll let you know what's going on.
You bet. And we are now at the end of the show. We're going to do the tips and plants of the week.
You bet.
My tip of the week is, although it's been said resolutions are rarely kept, I love posting some of those gardening resolutions, and you heard them all this morning on The Garden Show. My plant of the week is a begonia Rex, the Rex begonia.
We didn't even talk about that. We're going to talk about that next week.
These plants are noted for their dark leaves and prominent silvery gray bands.
Beautiful.
They have been hybridized like crazy. They're easy to hybridize, and so we see all sorts of varieties out there.
All right, I also have a tip in the plant. My tip of the week is that you want to hold off on fertilizing your houseplants now until around the end of February. And about that time, you can start to reintroduce the water-soluble type fertilizers for most of your houseplants by adding about a teaspoon per gallon of water through the month of March. And then once you're into April, you go back to the regular, which is about a tablespoon per gallon. All right, now my plant of the week was the Taylor Upright Juniper, which is used for hedging. And this is a plant that's very tall and narrow, really literally never needs to be trimmed. But it's drought tolerant and deer resistant, and it's just a good plant. And I think if people use them more, you'll see them more readily available, and that helps the prices come down a bit too. But you do get what you pay for. There you go. That's my tips and plants. Remember to check GrowerCoach.com, Grower Coach on YouTube.
Right on, Ken. And my Shigo, Alex Shigo, Dr. Alex Shigo, quote of the week. We are made up of many little things that taken separately are not that important. But when they're all connected, they become you, and that is important. Mm-hmm. The same with trees. He's a tree guy.
Yep.
Happy New Year, everyone. We will see you
Year.
again for the second show of the year next week.